What is the Pulsechain ecosystem? And to me, it is a decentralized financial system. It's the emergence of brand new tech. It returns ownership to the token holders. I don't think most people recognize how important the ruling from Judge Amon was when Pulsex, and Hex got that ruling, because Pulsechain itself was ruled to not be under the purview of the SEC, meaning we're the only blockchain that doesn't fall under the purview of the SEC, meaning the US government can't seize your assets. I don't care if it's PDI, Hex, whatever asset you hold on it. We live in a place now where you actually have a allodial title. Allodial title is direct ownership. A lot of people think in the current financial system that they actually own their stuff. You do not. Like if you own a stock, you don't have a stock certificate that's sent to you. All stocks are held at the CFTC, right? You have a claim on it. The same way you have a claim on the money in your bank account. If that bank goes under and you have more than $250,000 in your checking account, right? You get FDIC protection for $250,000, but anything over that, if the bank goes under, you're like third in line in a bankruptcy. Like when you deposit funds into the bank, you do not own that cash anymore. And that's what the entirety of the economic system is today.
Do you say we have an allodial title system with Pulsechain? Like, what's the relation there? How does that work?
Yes, we do. Because Stablecoin Act that was just passed, right? All of those stablecoins are going to be issued by private companies, whether it's Coinbase or Tether, right? So when they did that, they basically skirted the US Constitution. And if the US government does not like something that you're doing, they can contact Tether or Circle and they can freeze your funds, right? If you look at the US Constitution, it says that the government is the only one that has the power to that money. They've created a workaround. And as they're going into this system now, if you hold stable coins on ETH and you misbehave, they will freeze you, right? It's a CBDC that's held by companies. Like, who are you going to call on the Pulsechain ecosystem to freeze your Hex? Doesn't work, dude. I mean, if they contact MetaMask, it doesn't matter. There's other front-end wallets, Internet Money Wallet. There will be more spin-ups. So you now are able to hold assets in a location where you don't risk having your funds frozen.
So how does PDI fit into this? Why would you create a stablecoin you could buy really cheap and give people an opportunity to make money on? Why wouldn't you just launch one brand new that starts at $1?
Okay, so what happened to the guy that created MakerDAO? He was killed in 8 inches of water. That really happened. The guy drowned in 8 inches of water. If I was going to launch a stablecoin, I would not want my name on it. So when we had the origination of Pulse, we got all of the P copies. PDI is the forked copy of DAI on Ethereum. And with that came the technology behind it of MakerDAO.
I was open to the idea that it could be, hey, what if it is part of this? What if it's going to peg? And after that happened, after April or whenever, we've seen the exploiter, we've seen the system break down and not work as it would on Ethereum. All that stuff happened. And I was like, okay, it looks like it's not even technically feasible for this thing to work.
Sometimes you just have to give it time to see what actually has occurred. Yesterday, there was a post put out where they have on-chain evidence now that Maker vaults are being collateralized. Well, in order for those vaults to be collateralized right now, and it's not minting PDI, it's bringing the vaults in the MakerDAO back up to even, okay? So with that happening, that tells you that Maker was not killed. Why is that important? Well, now you have an updated MakerDAO. There's actually a flaw in MakerDAO that was discovered. So we have an updated version of Maker now on Pulsechain. So if we now have an updated version of Maker, and you're going to have the ability, once the vaults are collateralized, to mint more PDI with deposits when you start to bring in the PCOMP and PAVE protocols, lending protocols into Maker. Why is that important? If this is a new financial system, and I don't know exactly how many PDI there are right now, maybe 44 billion or 26, but that's not enough liquidity to run a financial system. You have to have something like Maker in order to generate the capital to have a financial system. How much is needed? Well, if you look at the Eurodollar market is offshore US debt that comes out of the City of London or out of contracts. The last estimate I saw on that, there was somewhere between $500 and $750 trillion of US debt in the Eurodollar market, right? That's outside of the US. That doesn't count what's going on inside. So if you're trying to create a financial system, you have to have a protocol that can spin up enough capital to meet the demand. 44 billion will never cover it, right? So keeping Maker around is extremely important for this ecosystem to work. Now, why is a decentralized stablecoin so important? If we don't have a decentralized stablecoin, this whole project shit. All of Pulsechain. We won't be a decentralized financial system without a decentralized native stable, okay? We will be a meme chain like Solana. I think Pulse is the Ethereum killer. I really believe that, honestly. I think we will absolutely replace Ethereum. Like, look at what happened with Russia and Ukraine. US, through the SWIFT system, froze $300 billion of Russian assets. You can't do business like that. If you have a blockchain that nobody has a kill switch to or a freeze function, you could take countries' sovereign wealth funds where they do business and they'll be able to transact on a blockchain. That's the long goal for something like Pulsechain, is sovereign wealth funds, hedge funds. But to have that, you have to have a stable coin. You can't come in, even into like Bitcoin or Hex, where there's volatility and price movement. You got to be able to have stability. That's why in a financial system, a stable coin is paramount. You cannot have a financial system without a stable coin. Tell me the difference between the SWIFT system and these stable coins on Ethereum that are getting spun up. There's nothing. You can still freeze funds. Between USDC and Tether, they've frozen almost $1 billion. Is that how you want to build a financial system? If you're a foreign sovereign that's in bad relation with the US, are you going to trust that when you know that the government can call that corporation, whether it's Circle or Tether, and freeze funds? It's no different than them having the ability to call the SWIFT system and lock Russian assets. A central bank digital currency is slavery. These stable coins that are coming out from private companies, you guys don't recognize it yet, but it's still going to put you in a slave mode. If they can freeze your money, like, you don't own it. Like, Pulsechain, outside of physical gold, is the safest place in the world to store value. That ruling was the biggest thing to ever happen in finance. If it doesn't happen, then we're all slaves anyway, and nothing matters. I think Pulsechain is that important in the history of humanity. I don't think that just because you're born in a certain place that you're less of a human than I am, right? I think there needs to be fair and equitable markets for every single person around the world. And we can do that through a decentralized financial system.